Okay, I know we've watched the one on bacteria, right? Plant, fungi, bacteria. Have you watched the one on plant parts? Have we done that? Yes? I think we did work on that, huh? I think layers of soil, all this, I think we don't really need to know. Digestive system, we've done it. Heat energy, we've done it. Materials as well. Yeah, okay, I think that's about it. We've watched most of it. Um, but it's really for revision for this one. Okay, so maybe we'll get started with the MCQ questions first. There are only 6 of them. Okay, let's take a look at the first question. Right? Actually, this first question, it's not so much of science concept. I would say that this one falls under the topic of matter. Okay. But it's something like a math question actually. It's like a math question whereby you have to find the mass of the apples. Okay. So how much is it actually? Anyone would like to try? Someone typed in the chat. Let me see. Answer is B. Melba asks. Yen Kai also say it's B. Catherine also say it's B. Okay. Melba, Yen Kai, Catherine. Okay. Yes, the answer is B. Actually, this is really a very straightforward math question. Okay, you just need to find out. Of course, if you were to draw the line, okay, it's 1.8 kilograms. Okay. Okay, next question. Which organ system is shown in the diagram? Grace.
Muscular.
Very good, thank you. Okay, so for P4, one of the topic will be on body systems. Although you have not learned about circulatory and respiratory in detail, okay, you will learn that in primary 5. Okay, but you still need to be able to tell which one is which system. So naturally, of course, if you see this diagram for question 2, you see a lot of muscles there, right? So it is actually, it does belong to the muscular system. So it's B. Okay, muscular system. All right. Next one. The diagram below shows a plant. Which part makes food for the plant? Melva. Okay, Melva typed in the chat, right? Answer is C. Yes. Okay. Maybe you want to identify the parts of the plant first. This one is the flower. Let's just do a quick revision, okay? So we have flower. This one is the leaf, right? What about B, Grace? What part is this?
Stem.
Good. Okay. Catherine, what is part D?
The roots.
Okay. So then we need to know the function of the flowers. The function of the flowers is to help the plant. Okay, I'll just write in short, okay? It's basically for reproduction. Why for reproduction? Because the pollen grains from one flower will land on this flower and then it will pollinate the flower. And when it pollinates the flower, the pollen grain will goes in to fertilize the female part of the flower and eventually it will become fruits and seeds, which will then be able to be dispersed further away from the parent plant. That's when more plants start to grow. Okay, so in this case, the flower is for reproduction mainly, and you're going to learn more about reproduction in plants when you're in primary 5, not now. Okay, now, of course, for the leaf, it's always to make food for the plant. Another function of the leaf is actually for gaseous exchange. Okay, why is it for gaseous exchange? Because it has a lot of stomata at the underside of the leaves. Okay. Stem. Okay, the stem has a few functions also. Stem helps to transport water from the roots to other parts of the plant. But it also helps to transport food produced by the leaves to the rest or to the other parts of the plant. And it also helps to keep the plants upright, right? This one is more of a structural feature. It helps to keep the plant upright. Okay. Now the next one is the roots. The roots, there are a few functions. It helps to absorb water and mineral salts from the soil to the rest of the plant, yes. And also another function of the roots is to help keep the plant firmly in the, or rather is to hold the plant firmly in the ground. Okay, so these are the functions of the different plant parts. Okay, plant parts and their functions. So of course, to make food, right? Because the question is asking you making food, right? So definitely the answer will be the leaves, which is C. Any questions so far for this? Any questions? Don't worry, the notes will be shared with you. Okay, after class. Yes, Ivan, you have a question?
How about grass?
Okay. So actually, grass is considered a flowering plant. Okay, a lot of times, but most of the time you might not see the flowers growing because of many reasons. One of the reasons can be that usually grass we always cut it off. So before they even have a chance to reproduce and all. Okay, so there will be there by right there should be flowers. So what about grass? Actually, grass is the same as any other flowering plants. It also has its plant parts, right? And it also has its functions as well. Okay, it is not a non-flowering plant. Non-flowering plant are your ferns and moss. So so I think if you're wondering about the plant parts of the grass, okay, we are talking about it has roots definitely. Okay, it has roots that help it to take in nutrients, and it also helps to anchor the plants on the ground. They also should have flowers. But the grass, you might think that they might not have stem. Okay, they actually have this thing called the culm, culm. Okay, which is actually the part of the stem, right? Maybe I show you a photo. Okay, if we didn't keep cutting, okay, if we didn't keep cutting the grass, right, by right, it should grow flowers as well. Okay, but because we keep cutting, so it's always left with this part. So can you see the culm here, culm? The culm is actually the stem of the grass. The one we always see is like the blade of the grass and all, right? We hardly see the flowers and the florets and all. Yeah. So grass is the same. It's actually a flowering plant. So it does work the same way as any other plants that we usually see. Okay? Okay, next question. Which of the following explains why the boy can see the paper plane? Melva. Melva raised your hand, right? Let me see. Answer is C. Let's see. Is it C, your answer? Ivan says A. Oh, A as well, right, Melva? Yeah. Okay, so this is definitely a question on light energy, which is a P4 topic. So how is it that you're able to see objects? Definitely it's because of the light that is reflected into your eyes. So this will be the movement of the light because light travels in a straight line. Okay, so the underlying concept is that light energy, okay, travels in a straight line. So it cannot be curved. So since it cannot be curved, it's a straight line and it gets reflected. So, okay, this is a reflection. Okay, the light gets reflected into the boy's eyes or the person's eyes. Right? So yes, the answer is A. Okay, next one, life cycle. Life cycle, some schools do it in P3, some schools do it in P4. Okay, it's testing us on this. Based on this life cycle, he can conclude that the animal is a living thing because it
Grows
must
and
be based.
reproduces. Grows
It
and reproduces.
reproduces. Very good, Catherine.
A and C.
Grow and reproduces. Very good. Okay, because the question, I think the key phrase is that based on life cycle, it must be based on the life cycle. So yes, living things do respond to changes, but it's not based on the life cycle. We can't tell whether they respond to changes based on the life cycle. So, but we can tell that they grow from an egg to a young that curls up like that, and then eventually to an adult, right? So this one seems like the spiny anteater. That is the reason why it's an egg, because even though a spiny anteater is a mammal, how does it reproduce? It reproduces by egg. Okay, so the spiny anteater is the exception. It reproduces by egg. It reproduces by egg. So it grows, yes, and it reproduces. Answer is D. Any questions? No? Last one is on classification, which is actually your first topic, right? When you are in P3, right? When you were in P3, you did this question on classification. The diagram shows how different buttons are classified according to certain characteristics. A, B, W, X, Y, and Z. Which of the following correctly shows the characteristics A and Z? What is the characteristic A? Anyone?
Square.
Catherine, square, okay. Because there is a common or similarity here, right? Both are squares. Then what about the characteristic B?
Has 4 holes.
Grace, what do you think? Okay, let's take turns, yeah, Grace?
Has 4 holes.
You mean, oh, okay, Z, sorry, not B, Z. So has 4 holes. Okay, good. Okay, yes, right? So it must be something that is applicable only to those that falls under the category, right? So that's classification basically. Okay, I guess we have finished. Okay, we have finished our MCQ questions. Okay, we will move on to open-ended later. But before that, let's play a game first. Okay, I think we have time today because we don't have that many questions. But the game will also be related to your science. Let me just quickly draw it out. Let's have a look at your report. Oh, not bad. I think this class, as a class, you all managed to get almost 90% of the questions correct. Okay, which means your lower block science is quite good. Okay, most of you did quite well, huh? Oh, okay, Grace, you got 100% of your questions correct. That's very well done. Okay, okay, now we will be covering the questions very quickly. Take it as a revision because we have more than enough time today. Okay, so take it as a revision. Even though as a class, I think you all managed to get 90% correct, but there are still some questions which you might not have done so well. So let's have a look. Outer covering of a mammal is hair. I think this one is just a quick revision. Amphibians actually have moist skin. They don't have scales like the reptiles. Okay, please don't mix up amphibians with reptiles, yeah? Outer covering of an insect is usually considered hard outer covering. Of course, there are a few. Some people will call it exoskeleton. Okay, but generally, they just have a hard outer covering. But then some of you might argue that Some of you might argue that, but insects are so soft.